Third Dwelling, Part 2. I have known quite a few souls who have lived for a number of years in a righteous and orderly way, both physically and spiritually. Then, after all that time, when it seems that they have become masters of this world, or at least radically detached from it, His Majesty sends them a few small tests, and they react far out of proportion to the challenges they face. They mope around so disturbed and distressed it bewilders and even frightens me. It's no use offering them advice. They have been engaged in spiritual practice so long, they think they should be teaching others, and that they are perfectly justified in feeling the way they do. I haven't found any way to comfort or cure these people. All I can do is express compassion for their trouble, which, when I see them so miserable, rises spontaneously from my heart. Why try to contradict their reasoning? They have convinced themselves that they are suffering for God's sake, and it never enters their mind that they may be suffering as a result of their own shortcomings. This is another mistake some advanced souls make. They shouldn't be so surprised by their own suffering. Sometimes it is God's will that His loved ones become conscious of their limitations, and so He withdraws His support a little. Not much of this kind of pain should be required for them to quickly come to know themselves. They would clearly recognize their own imperfections and immediately understand what is happening to them. They would realize that they are overly attached to unimportant worldly matters, and then this imperfection of theirs would cause them more pain than whatever it was that was troubling them to begin with. This kind of distress is, I believe, a great mercy from God, even though it compels them to painfully confront their own flaws. They grow in humility. But for the unconscious people I am talking about, it's not like that. They glorify their tribulations in their own minds and would like everybody else to exalt them. I want to say a little something about these things so that we can understand and test ourselves before the Beloved tests us. It's a great advantage to be able to prepare with self-knowledge ahead of time. Say there is a wealthy person who has no family, and he loses his fortune. He still has enough to take care of his necessities and even a bit left over. If he becomes as anxious and worried as if he didn't have a crust of bread to eat, how can our Beloved ask him to leave everything behind for his sake? Maybe he will claim that he is so upset because he wanted to give that money to the poor. But I believe that God would rather have me align with the divine will and maintain the tranquility of my soul than fret over my own agenda for charity. If the Beloved has not yet led the rich man far enough that he can attain peace, that's fine. All he needs to do is to understand that he is lacking freedom of spirit, and he should ask the Beloved for it. His Majesty is going to require it later, so he should be ready. Say there is another person who has more than enough to meet his needs and is faced with the opportunity for acquiring more property. Well, congratulations, go right ahead. But what if he strives for wealth and after obtaining it strives for more and more? If his intentions are good and he has cultivated virtue through spiritual practice, he doesn't have to be so afraid of reaching the dwelling closest to the king. A similar thing happens when such people are confronted with an occasion for being misunderstood or losing a bit of their reputation. God will usually grant them the grace to handle this skillfully. He is fond of favoring virtue in public, so that virtue itself will not suffer. Maybe he helps them because they have served him. This beloved of ours is very good. Still, they are plunged into disquiet because they cannot instantaneously conquer the distress that rises in their hearts. God help me. Aren't these the same people who not very long ago were musing on how the beloved suffered and what a noble thing it is to suffer and have even desired suffering for themselves? They wish everyone would live as orderly a life as theirs. All we can hope is that they will not presume that their pain is a response to other people's faults and convert it in their minds to something lofty. Maybe you think, friends, that I am wandering off the subject, or that these examples have nothing to do with us, since these are not issues that arise around here. We have no wealth, nor do we strive for any, and nobody is trying to undermine anybody else's worldly status. But we can learn many lessons from comparisons. There's no need for me to elaborate. The purpose of these analogies is for you to consider if you have truly detached yourself from that which you have given up. Little things arise all the time that can serve to test you and prove if you have achieved mastery over your own cravings. Believe me, this has nothing to do with whether or not you wear religious robes. It's a matter of practicing virtues, of surrendering to God in everything, of bringing our lives in harmony with whatever His Majesty arranges for us, of desiring that His will, not ours, be done. Maybe we have not yet evolved this far. Humility, I say. Humility is the ointment for our wounds. If we are truly humble, then God, the great physician, will eventually come to heal us. Whenever these souls practice renunciation, they do it in the same well-balanced manner with which they order their lives. They have an intense thirst for self-sacrifice as a means of serving God. There is nothing wrong with this. They tend to be discreet in their ascetic practices, careful not to compromise their health. They are reasonable people, in no danger of killing themselves with austerities. Their love is not yet powerful enough to overwhelm their reason. Oh, if only our love would make us dissatisfied with this modest little way of serving God, with timid baby steps. We'll never reach the end of our journey at this pace. It may seem to us as if we were endlessly walking and were getting tired. Believe me, it is an exhausting journey. Sometimes it may feel like enough to simply avoid going astray. But if we could travel from one realm to another in 8 days, friends, it would be a wise thing to take a year to get there, through snow and rain and bad roads. Wouldn't it be better to get the journey over with as quickly as possible? All these obstacles do arise, plus the danger of serpents. Oh, could I give you some good examples of these? Please God that I may have passed beyond this stage myself. Often enough, it seems to me that I haven't. When we are hyper vigilant, we fear everything and everything offends us. We don't dare to move forward, as if we could reach the ultimate dwelling by leaving it to others to make the journey for us. Since that is impossible, why don't we exert ourselves, my friends, for love of our beloved? Let's abandon our reason and fear into his hands. Forget about the weakness in our nature that we worry about so much. Let our families look after the safekeeping of our physical form. That's their concern. All we should focus on is getting to see this beloved of ours as soon as possible.